What's up, guys? Skippy Africanus here, and today we have a rather lit video. We're going to be going over tracers, their history, their usage, and all that good stuff. And as you can see, we got some tracers laid out right here. Just a few examples. You got some 5.56 loaded on a belt. You got your 30-06 tracer. You got this really neat spotter round, and you got this thing. But yeah, as you can see, tracers typically have, a red or orange paint to signify that they are a tracer. Now, tracers, in a way, can be said to go back to around the 14th century. They were, of course, not anywhere near as similar to what we have today, and, they were only available for larger cannons. They weren't for small arms. However, there was a munition that did function as a tracer. Essentially, they were just cannonballs that would be covered in a variety of, flammable materials, and they would provide a, lit trail, basically what tracers do today, and appropriately they were named flaming cannonballs. Now, much later on in history, around the early 1900s, you would see attempts made at creating a more proper tracer round, typically involving small flash compounds that would ignite upon hitting, a solid material, and they would allow, the shooter to see exactly where their shots were hitting. This one right here is actually kind of a good example of, a round like that. This is a spotter round for the recoilless rifles, and essentially, as the bullet hits the ground, it explodes, saying exactly where your shot should land. And of course, they weren't limited to using what we would call explosive bullets. They also had munitions that would leave a smoke trail as they flew through the air, essentially doing what, a tracer does, but with smoke. However, both of these designs had their issues. Firstly, the exploding bullets needed to actually hit something to do their job, so later use in airplanes would make them pretty much useless. And also, they were frowned upon by the Hague's Convention, which led most countries to just not wanting to use them in general. And as per the smoke trail rounds, well, it turns out that adding enough fuel to give you a decent enough trail to see where you're shooting also subtracts lead from your bullet, making the projectile way lighter than what was seen as appropriate. And it wouldn't be until around 1917 that Britain would introduce the first proper tracer round, which, side note, not only was handy as a tracer, but also served to ignite the gases on enemy zeppelins. And once Britain got their tracer, everyone else, of course, had to hop on board, with countries all creating their own tracers using a variety of different compounds and such. Now, when it comes to tracers, there are actually three different types. There's the bright, subdued, and dim tracer. The bright tracer, as the name implies, is bright and ignites as soon as it leaves the muzzle. As far as tracers go, these rounds do their job. However, they do have a few problems. First off, they ignite as soon as they leave the barrel, meaning that while they tell you where your bullets are landing, they also tell the enemy where their bullets should be landing, given they show exactly where you are. Now, another con to this type of tracer is, of course, it interfering with night vision goggles because, well, as the name implies, with a bright tracer, it burns bright. Now, the subdued tracer burns just as bright as the bright tracer, however, it doesn't start to burn until it's a considerable ways away from the shooter, like, say, around 100 yards. And lastly, of course, we have the dim tracer, which, as the name implies, burns very dimly, if not really burning at all. These are, of course, made so as to not interfere with night vision goggles, and, as I just mentioned, some don't even emit visible light, instead emitting UV light that is only visible to those wearing night vision. Now, most people know that tracers are used primarily to direct belted machine gun fire. It's the majority of their use. However, it's not their only use. They can be used to direct fire towards targets of interest by squad leaders in standard rifles, which serves to make battlefield communication all the more clear. And for an even simpler use, loading a few tracers at the bottom of your magazine is a great way to tell when you're about to run out of ammo. But anyways, I think that is going to do it for this video on tracers. Now, I will say that we do a Cartridge of the Week series on this channel where I pick a random cartridge from my collection and we go over, its history, use, and all that good stuff. And if you would like to learn more about, the specific cartridges shown in today's videos, well, then all I gotta say is stay tuned. I'm not saying we're gonna be doing them, anytime soon, but they are definitely on the list of cartridges that we will eventually go over on that show. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video as much as I personally enjoyed making it, and I will see y'all next time.